Hello there, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people.
It's a trap!
All right, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think I need to introduce Gibbs no more. He's a mainstay and a staple here at USDN. However, I do have my personal editor-in-chief of BCP Plus. He is also a drummer, a commentator, a backstage interviewer. Ladies and gentlemen, new council member, Mr. Rob Williams. Rob, welcome to the show. Finally, we got you on, and we're happy to have you.
I'm not worthy, man. And we were saying off air. First of all, I got to step up my intro game. That was stellar. A little Imperial March remix. I was bopping the whole time. That was awesome, man. Good graphic design and vids and all that too, man. I love that. I popped big.
Shout out to our owner and proprietor, Kelvin Catley, for that.
Kelvin
magic.
did that. What can't Kelvin do? First of all,
I've yet to figure out what he can't do.
He's the man, and happy to be with you guys, man. I'm not worthy. Long time coming. I love what you guys have been doing, man. It's so cool. Like we were saying off air, just kind of like, man, I think even going all the way back to the lockdown and all that stuff, man, where you just kind of started connecting with people with similar passions and projects and podcasts. And it's really cool to see us all come together, talk about what we love, and have this little network going, man. It's my favorite thing about it. I know you've connected with Bill and Amanda.
Yep.
Gibbs, it's so nice to meet you. I love it, man. I'm super excited to talk about what we're talking about today, man. Happy to be here.
Appreciate you coming on, man. So let's talk about this X-Men 97. So this was X-Men, of course, was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby way back in the day, but this X-Men 97 was the brainchild of Bo DeMayo, and sadly he was released by Disney/Marvel. And however, we do know season 2 has already been greenlit, and it's going to still be his vision for what X-Men will be until season 3, and it will change because it's already been green lighted for season 3 as well. So
My only thing is without him being the main writer now, how much of it's going to change? And that's gonna tell. Season 2 is gonna tell whether or not they can keep this gold mine, because the writing for this season was bonkers. I mean, this shit was crazy.
and that's 100% in a good way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sharing the stream here.
Appreciate it.
Shameless promo.
Hey, we'll take all the shameless promos we can get around here.
I know what I'm doing. Yeah. And thank you guys again for having me. It's interesting, man. I'll echo what Gibbs said for sure, but it's fascinating in the fact that this comes back. It's not necessarily a reboot. It's the
sequel. It's the next in line.
Yeah. Continuation, resurrection, whatever you want to call it. And I said to my friend, I mean, I'm sure you guys are texting your buddies too. And we have this group chat with the boys, and I text them. I'm like, why is this so good? And they were literally texting me back because they didn't, with anything. Like, they didn't mess with anything. They picked up where they left off. If it ain't broke, kind of a thing. And
Yep.
yeah, it's
That's the
just
formula right
like,
there. If
so
it ain't
good.
broke, don't fix it.
But
And that's what
transparent.
worries coming into season 3 and even season 2. How much are they going to be like, that's got too much of the bow in it. We don't want to mess with that.
I'll say they didn't detract from what came on, before in the old 90s show, but they did take steps to correct and fix some things. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that. But yeah, some of the things that they did to fix kind of what was messed up. Some of the only things that was messed up about the old show.
Well, they made Cyclops not a bitch. How about that? We'll say it.
That's the biggest part. They the whole cartoon did such a disservice to Cyclops, and I know she's not everybody's favorite, but Jubilee as well.
Jubilee is Jubilee, man. She's not quite come into her powers yet. And I don't think we really ever seen her in the comic book really come into her powers either.
Oh yeah, we did.
So let me say caveat this with I'm not a big fan of X-Men comic books. I've read some story arts and some stuff, but never to the point where I see where Jubilee finally became stepped into her powers like that.
The first biggest thing that we had in the comics was when her and Wolverine, after they escaped out of the Australian outback, and they were hiding out in Madripoor, the Mandarin got a hold of her, and she basically blew the whole top section of his big tower hideout, the hand hide. She blew that all up. And her detonations are not just plasmoid fireworks. They detonate on a cellular microscopic nuclear level.
Wow.
And as she was supposed to get stronger with it, she can detonate with the nuclear bomb at her most powerful.
Wow.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, the thing about Jubilee, just piggybacking on what you said, kind of the same as what we saw, like not too much evolution, no pun intended, evolution of the character there. But I think I would wanted to have seen more of her with, and you mentioned it, like Wolverine, like in the comics, and you see very minimal scenes with that and stuff like that. And I like it. I just want more of that selfishly, I feel it. And again, we got getting another season.
Hey, you know what? At this point in our lives, we waited 30 years
right.
for X-Men 97. So we could be a little selfish when it comes to how we feel about it.
And they're I think I see Calvin.
Yep. There you go.
He's the man.
Love that guy.
I think also as far as Cyclops, like you guys said, another thing I texted the boys. I'm like, why is Cyclops so awesome?
Dude, he was never a bitch in the comic books.
Like he's killing it. His powers are leveling up. What was it, the pilot, or not the pilot because I brought it back, but the first or second episode, he's using the beam to skydive essentially.
Dude, he was skating and murking dudes at the same time, using nothing but his beams.
And his decision making and stuff too. And even when he gets emotional and frustrated, I get it, where before it was kind of come on, Cyclops, or punch him, Wolverine, or something like that. And now you're maybe it's because we're older. I don't know. But I'm I get it now. But they did a great job with Cyclops.
I mean, Wolverine, when we were children, was everything. I don't want to say he was pushed and forced onto us, but he was pushed and forced onto us to kind of be our favorite X-Men because everything had Wolverine on it. At least when you walked into the comic book shop, it was Wolverine everywhere.
That's my office. There's Wolverine. There's literally Wolverine stuff everywhere. But that's I love them all, but Wolvie's my guy.
I mean, mine's all Star Wars and Spawn. So
Spawn, okay, Spawn.
Yeah,
right.
When I found Spawn was the year that Todd McFarlane he basically bought Image to be able to make Spawn and then, because he went through Malibu Comics. That was the very first Spawn that ever came out, which if you got a copy of that, congratulations, you're sitting on a couple of grand. But from his first action figures to now, we're on issue 335, I think, of Spawn. Yeah. So that tells you something, right there. By the way, Image has expanded, bought Skybound Productions, and now they got Transformers and G.I. Joe, and the list just goes on and on and on and on. So mad props to them. But let's hop into episodes 1 through 5, because I decided we would kind of break it up in the middle. Like we'll do 1 through 5 and then 6 through 10. And, starting with Cyclops here in episode 1, and we get the infamous line, "To me, my X-Men," from Professor S, which I think all of us deep down inside were like, man, if he says that, we're all going to be like that that meme where we're all like,
yeah.
And we got that, and we were all, oh. And that was the same with all the cameos we got, with this. So it was a lot of a fan service, and I'm not mad about it. I will take fan service all day.
Yes.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, please, Gibbs, by all means.
No, the first episode, and especially that line, it was kind of the passing of the torch, the acknowledgement that he was the leader, after Charles, left, and of course we know what happens, in the very next episode or two, but but it's one of those things where he takes control and he's leading from the front, and he, even when Wolverine's barking at him, he's not sitting up there just taking and going, oh, okay, whatever. He's kind of, all right, fall in line. Y'all are my X-Men now.
Yeah, it starts off hot out of the gate, man. Maybe that's another reason why it's so good. And I'm sure we'll get into it, but it started strong with a lot of like classic X-Men story arcs that it originally didn't touch on. And to the point, even with some of the later episodes, people were kind of like, hey, I see where this is going. They're going to do this infamous scene with Wolverine. Like, I think that's going to, and it happened, and the way they did it, like you said, that you perfectly said, you're like, that's the thing, and I think that's the brilliance of it. Obviously, first thing that comes to mind, the Madeline, the Jean Grey, even as far as the nuances in the living intro, as they called it, that changes where she had the ponytail, then she didn't have the ponytail in the intro, or Nightcrawler, Gambit. Obviously, we'll get into that.
That's a perfect Easter egg, though. The way they rotate it as stuff happened with the intro, I was like, dude, this is perfect. I'm like, what could be better than a live-in intro? The only other thing that I can think of that does intros like that is anime. Anime does that. They have the multiple intros and the multiple outros. Like, I know, like, Chainsaw Man was big on that, and they did it like they would do intros and outros that look like famous movie scenes. So unless you were really paying attention, you never really picked up on it.
Okay, I'm gonna plug a TV series, and it's a anime. I guess it's on Netflix. That does exactly this, and I was noting that today. I actually was going between the 13th episode and the first episode and going, okay, this intro has changed multiple times, and that's Delicious in Dungeon. They do the same thing.
Yep.
Love that.
Which is fabulous.
Love that. And possibly Game of Thrones is, I know Game of Thrones kind of had like the very long intro. I don't know if like the map changed a little bit or
it did. Like it did.
But and I'm taking that from Calvin, who in the chat just said, was it episode 1 through 4? Welcome to Westeros. Let us at the table. Episode 5, Red. He knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think about that until he's seen that. I was like, well, goddamn, that's right.
That is exactly what happened. Let's set the players. And now,
yeah. So episodes 1 through 5, and I like the fact that they, like, out of the gate was like, go. And it never stopped go. Except for episode 4, which is the Motendo Life Death Part 1. We really didn't need that Jubilee, like, solo thing that they did. But I'm happy that they did it, because it did put a little bit more spotlight on Jubilee, who doesn't really quite get the love that she deserves sometimes.
And I think that's exactly what they were trying to do. And they were needing a setup because that episode made her and Sunspot, which he came in on episode 1. They had to save him from the the Friends of Humanity type deal and all that stuff. But they kind of did that so that you can kind of see them two drifting together. Not drifting, but
coming together. Yeah.
Having a shared moment. If you will.
You said that. You said
Yes.
That
yeah, that nailed it right there. Yep.
Yeah.
I think just piggybacking on what you said, Gibbs. It was kind of like remember every Saturday, like you wanted new X-Men and we've seen all of them, and maybe it was like I still think I haven't seen some of the final episodes. I gotta go back on Disney Plus because every week it was Night of the Sentinels Part 1 every single week, and I'm like, why are they doing this to me? I love this show, but I don't want to watch Night of the Sentinels Part 1 anymore. Like frame for
What's
frame.
funny is I'm sitting here looking back now, and me and my brother watched that episode probably every Saturday for a month straight. It felt like,
right? It's
And
not
we're
just me, okay?
No, you're absolutely right.
It's
It felt like
it was Night of the Sentinels last week, and you're not even playing part 2. Like
they used to say that was the most watched episode of the cartoon.
well, because it's the only one they freaking gave us.
Yeah, right. And I was
Only they
waiting
ever
for
gave
new
us.
ones. But I think in all seriousness, like this kind of reminded me when this episode came on, like, yeah, it wasn't my favorite one out of all of them, but it was a nice departure. Like, obviously, like you said, Gibbs, like it wasn't just a subplot in this one. It was, up front, Jubilee and Sunspot. Like we had to kind of get a little bit more connection here. You had the video game silliness of it. It was very different than all the very heavy stuff that we were dealing with out of the gate. So it just reminded me of like a Saturday morning and like, oh, what's happening? And oh, this is the Mojo episode. And it was
it
was fun.
There's nothing wrong with getting some mojo in your life.
No. And we got Spiral too.
Yep.
Mojo's right hand, right six hand. Yeah. And so one of the things about that episode too was, we got a little bit of the Mojo verse, which sets up for next season 2, potentially with Dazzler and maybe Longshot.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
So y'all want to address a rumor? Are we going to get Dazzler, Taylor Swift, and Deadpool Wolverine? I think we do.
They were talking about that, and I saw something else that my arch nemesis Tim posted in one of the other nerd groups, was that it might not be the Dazzler, it might be another one, and I have to look for it real quick and see which one it was, but it might be an older type of setting for a movie or TV series or something, but
okay,
it would be perfect for Dazzler.
So the current Dazzler that's appearing in the comic books is based off Taylor Swift.
Really?
Like you look at the features and everything, they use Taylor Swift as the model for it.
Whoa,
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't want to know too much. I'm infamously a spoiler phobe. Infamously, I just want to sit back, take it in, and have a natural reaction. I don't want to have expectations. That being said, this is going to be my movie of the summer. I always said we might rent the theater, do the whole thing. Wolvie's my guy. I just watched Deadpool 1 and 2 again. Ryan Reynolds is brilliant. I'm watching the doc where he bought the soccer team, and I'm enjoying that as well.
Welcome to Wrexham was good.
I'm only through the first season. Only through the first season. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, USDN.
Hey, absolutely. I will sign off on that all day.
I think
he was made for that.
Oh gosh, I think it's going to be similar. If there's a Taylor Swift cameo or whatever, I think it's gonna be similar to like how Brad Pitt was kind of just popped up in Deadpool 2, where he was like the invisible guy, and then you just saw him randomly. Like, oh,
he did that for free, right?
Yeah,
like he didn't get paid for that. Yeah,
that was epic.
Brilliant.
That was epic.
He was on set for maybe 10 minutes, and they did the scene, and he was gone. Like they're like, because he owed a favor to the director, and that was the favor.
Brilliant.
And then Taylor Swift is good friends with Ryan and his wife. So that's what I'm saying. I think we are going to get some type of cameo from T Swift.
So look at this. if she cameos if it's just a cameo drop as Dazzler, and maybe we get her later as in the X-Men franchise, the staggering amount of, it doesn't matter whether or not it's a good script or any of that stuff, the amount of money that will come in and pour
billions
on, like maybe $1 billion on opening night. Who knows? These opening weekend, this will be ridiculous.
Oh, without a doubt. The Swifties will be out in force.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the Kansas City Chiefs fans.
Yeah.
If that works out, who knows?
It will work. I love all of that. And it'll fit. I'm wondering how I'm excited for that future and that rumor to pan out as great.
I am too. I want to put the stamp on that one so bad.
And I'm looking forward to Wolverine, Deadpool and Wolverine. Everybody knows Wolverine's not one of my favorites because of the old TV cartoon and all that stuff.
Well, they put all the focus on him.
They did. And then they changed it to Wolverine and the X-Men and all this other bull crap.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I am very much so looking forward to him and Deadpool together. That's going to be, they're saying that it's going to, this is Deadpool and the X-Men's entrance into the MCU in some way. So I'm waiting to see how that pans out.
It's going to be interesting, and I'm here for it. And I'm going to post a theory as we get to episodes 6 through 10. But let's finish up 1 through 5 because we are way off. And I make no apologies for it. I make no apologies for it.
One thing that we kind of glossed over was, we're kind of free flowing this 1 through 5, but
this whole thing is going to be a whole free flow, man. I didn't want to be like, okay, episode 1, guys.
Cameo.
I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be a conversation between 3 dudes in our passion and love for X-Men 97 and us eating a bowl of cereal watching X-Men, dude. That's what I wanted out of this episode, and that's why I did it the way I did. And I sent y'all sparse notes, man. I just sent y'all the bare minimum. Like, hey, here's what we're looking at. Let's just spit it. Let's just drop a rhyme.
In episode 2, we had a big cameo with the Executioner, who in the comic books, there was a huge storyline with the Executioner. Of course, Storm pays
arc.
Yeah, Storm pays the bill for that one, with losing her powers, and then that starts that whole arc. I think it was a huge missed opportunity for her to go, Mohawk Storm and bring in the Morlocks.
That would have, and the opportunity was there, dude, because the Morlocks were on Genosha.
They were on Genosha.
Yeah, they were kind of in the background. And it was because it was topics they were a big part of, 20 years ago or whenever it was. So they kept them relevant, but again, more in the background. First of all, Leech things never work out for Leech in the movies. And
there's not a timeline where Leech lives to be an adult.
We're going to talk about that when we hit
6 through 10.
Yeah.
Or actually episode 5, I think is
episode 5. Okay.
It's heavy.
We'll talk about that. I like that, Black. If we don't get a Deadpool,
you know who in the comic book, he's not Spider-Man when it comes to Deadpool. It's Uncle Spidey, we calls his daughter.
That is true.
And Peter is like the most humble uncle ever. Like the interactions between Deadpool, his daughter, and Spider-Man are like the most family oriented stuff, considering we're talking about Deadpool.
Well, this is them trying to make Deadpool more user friendly for the masses. Deadpool is he's not user friendly. I always said he wasn't a hero, but I like the aspect of the Deadpool movies were the only X-Men esque Sony movies that I enjoyed at all. All the
Yeah.
other ones can straight up
Pound sand. Let's put it nicely.
but seeing having that interaction, and of course it was with Colossus trying to make him a better person. But now, him teamed up with Wolverine, both of them are just two bad attitudes waiting to happen. Seeing him team up with Spider-Man, and we don't know what the future of Spider-Man and MCU looks like right now. I think they're going to bring back Tom Holland for one more. I'm not sure.
He's on tap for one more at least.
I'm not sure. And if they go the route that I think that they're going to go, then the Deadpool Spider-Man interaction we see may not happen. But I think that this is Gibbs only. But I think that they're going to bring in Miles Morales.
I wouldn't be mad about that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I mean,
either.
it's on tap anyway.
But we wouldn't see the Deadpool Spider-Man that we would want to see.
No.
And
I
whoever's
don't
going to
expect
play
the MCU to
Wolverine,
give me anything I want anyway.
whoever's going to play Wolverine in the MCU, we know it's not going to be Hugh Jackman, but that interaction between him and Spider-Man should happen. So we'll see how that falls out.
Yeah.
Most definitely. But yeah, where were we? I'm sorry, I went down.
No, we do rabbit holes very well over here. Let's just roll because I mean we know Magneto stood trial at the UN.
Yeah.
Storm lost her powers. She met back up with Forge, who took her on a journey to figure herself out.
I think that they should have, if they would have cut out Jubilee's episode and just made a whole episode or two with Storm, because they gave her 5 to 10 minutes each on the back half of 2 episodes, and
yeah,
I
mean, because during that time frame, she lived a lot of life up until the point where she got her powers back.
They went in the comics. They went years.
Oh yeah. Wow,
years.
She spent a lot of time with the Morlocks.
Yep. And I mean, that was one of the things that we failed to see that character build arc for her. But I will say this: everything bad that and strife wise that started happening to them happened after in this season happened after Storm lost her powers and left.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Storm is the glue. We all know that.
You actually see how integral Storm was to, keeping the X-Men together.
Yeah. I like that they dove into her character a little bit more, but it's like you said, it kind of happened kind of quick. And I understand it's an animated series. It was a little bit more of a subplot. I'm never a huge fan of like the Vision Quest kind of stuff, and that's
she was treated as a side quest.
Yeah, that's not my favorite, but I love Storm. I loved her interactions with Jean. I love that later they talk about like Gold Team and Blue Team. They get into that a little bit, just like a little nod. I mean, Storm's amazing. Storm's amazing, and I want to see. She's always been amazing. I want to see more for her this season. I want more from Storm, I guess, selfishly.
And that's okay. We can be selfish, dude. At our age and growing up on this, we've earned that shit, dude. We could be selfish.
Heck yeah.
Kelvin nailed it, dude. She left for 5 minutes and the world went to shit.
That's right.
I mean, literally, we lost like, why was it 10 million mutants on Genosha?
Oh my god, dude!
I think that's a roundabout number, and I'm pretty sure it's more than that. And like in the comic series, it was a lot more than they made it out to be in the show. I'm just
waiting for when they do the callback to. and just to make us all go, but just because they did it with the what am I gonna wear? Black leather or whatever, which is the callback
Yeah.
for news, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
waiting for the what happens to so and so when what happens to a toad when he gets struck by, or like whatever that line was.
Oh my
that
God.
Was,
you know what happens to a toad when it gets
No.
struck by lightning?
yeah, same thing that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for a callback or a joke to that one.
Toad's in
you heard it here first.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
He
So
is.
we may get it there.
Oh, please
God.
no.
And you know he would do something like that too. Ryan Reynolds is gonna be like, you know what?
You
Let's
already
plug that
figured it
cheesy
out.
line.
That's
Let's
exactly
plug
what's
it.
gonna happen.
Let's plug
He'll
this.
probably say something like, "Shut up, Toad. They'll strike you with lightning or some shit."
Yep.
So,
And you know what? I wouldn't be mad.
oh,
I'd be
I
like-
would. God, let him die.
Hilarious.
So while we're on episode 5, we had our first loss of the X-Men in
Hold on.
episode 5.
We still skipping a lot of real estate to hit 5, because at the end of episode 2, the real Jean Grey comes back, and then we have a sort of inferno arc, a mini inferno arc that goes on with them revealing that, you know, the Jean Grey that had Nathan was actually Madeline Pryor.
Yeah.
You know, or she chose the name Madeline, you know, at the end.
She chose it at the end, yep.
And they went through all of that stuff. And I mean, it was they did a quick conversion to her to the Goblin Queen, which, like I said, in the comics, it was a huge arc. And we crammed it in, and I mean, it worked. But
it did work.
Kinda, you know, because at the end, you know, her and Jean kind of like, me and you.
They did hug it out. Yeah.
Hug it out, and she leaves, and Jean's like, "It's okay, Scott. You know, we'll work it out." And then
also, Wolverine had a little moment with one of the Jeans too. So.
Wolverine,
the real Jean.
This solidifies Wolverine is a sucker punk. And I said it, and I don't care who takes offense. Wolverine is a sucker punk because that whole deal, and Jean ain't shit either.
Oh, she knew what she was doing. She knew. She knows. She's just dragging that man along.
She catches Scott, you know, doing the whole mental thing, and it's like, oh my God, that was our thing. Well, it was their thing too, because he thought that she was you.
Yeah. Like, you know, you're literally an exact replica of each other.
Which is fair, yeah.
Which is fair. But then she goes along and then does the whole thing with Wolverine and then jumps at Scott's ass? Come on, trifling.
So that was 100% the real G. That, like, no question. That was 100%.
That was 100%
That
her.
was the real
that
G.
scandalous ass woman.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Gibbs. You're not wrong, bro.
Wolverine is a simp sucker. Oh. Yeah,
and you know what? He forever said in the comic book that Jean was his only one true love forever. And those are his words. Like, he was always written that way.
Entanglement.
We have ourselves an entanglement. If we may quote Jada,
there we go.
Entanglement.
Jean Grey is Jada.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first.
That's right. I said it.
Wow.
Gibbs dropping the hard truth today.
You're right about that. Wolverine did say in the comics that Jean Grey was his, you know, one true love.
But he also had 4 others.
He's had plenty. Now, loves, there's a difference than, you know, just hitting. Because he knocked off about all the women, the grown women.
All of them.
You know, in the X-Men. He knocked off most of them.
So, okay, then let's put it like this. What was your favorite, like, of all of the hookups of Wolverine? What was your favorite one that, like, he had a relationship with within the series, is like the comic books? Because he had many. Who?
Mariko.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I didn't like. Did they do Storm in the comic books, or was that just that one?
No, that's a whole arc in the comic book.
it's one of those things where it's like I didn't like it because I was never a fan of like the alternate universes and stuff like that.
No. In the main
No, that was
continuity,
main MCU or main Marvel storyline. Him and Storm had a thing for quite a while
in the
it wasn't
comics.
just a thing. I don't think it was a thing. I think that they hooked up several times, and I think it could have been bigger than what it was, but that was that. Because during the 80s, they showed that they hooked up, and then later on they kind of had a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It was more, more of the continuation from what it was in the 80s.
Yeah. And that was before she became Miss T'Challa.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So because I remember the way I remember going back to the old episode when it was like probably one of the last newer episodes that I saw. I'm like, oh, it's not Night of the Sentinels. But so I just remember they're having the picnic or whatever at the beginning of the episode, and then there's like the time travel thing, and then they do that whole arc, and then they're like, oh, to make the world the way it was, we have to like undo everything, and our love has to end, kind of a thing. And then it goes back to them having the picnic again. And it's one of those things, like at first I hated it because I'm like, no, Wolverine loves Jean, and like that's not how it is. Like that's not organic. And like the more I think about it, like they're kind of perfect for each other. Is that just me?
No, you're nailing it. Yeah.
I ship or whatever the kids say. Like
you're shipping, man.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite ones from a comic book storyline perspective was Lady Deathstrike. I say that because she is one of my favorite characters from the comic book. And then she tried to kill him.
They didn't really have
it was brief.
A love relationship, though, did they?
Briefly, if I remember correctly, before the Weapon X project.
Because it was her dad that did the whole integration of his bones, his body, adamantium. But
I'd literally have to go back to like probably 93 or 94 to find.
You guys remember these? You guys remember these cards? I have them in my office. Do you know which one? Like these are like, I want to say X-Men Series 2. I remember having these in school. Oh, so many things just fell out of the binder just now. You guys remember these ones?
Oh yes.
Oh, so good. And
dude, I literally have them sitting over here behind me on my other bookshelf behind me that you can't see because it's so dark in here.
I think I'm missing like just Rogue. I think I have all, and it's probably somewhere around here. But
it probably just fell out.
Yeah, dude, they all literally just fell out, which is fine. But and they had like the 30 years special card. I'm trying to see if
you probably have about $2,000 sitting in that binder, to be fair to you.
Yeah, you know what, cards are weird though. I feel like it says they are and then they're not.
No, I'm telling you right now, you pull them up on eBay and see what they're selling them for.
Okay.
I guarantee you're sitting on probably about $2,000.
Yeah.
And one of them is probably just in one card.
All right, I'll take an X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue card. Yeah, the puzzle pieces, man. Sorry, I just had it here, and this is where a lot of my comic knowledge and X-Men knowledge came from. You'd read the back of the card, get the stats, get the little tidbit.
Hell yeah, dude. Love that stuff. That's what I like to see, man. And you got the famous sticker on the front.
Yeah, you know the deal. My guy Travis Barker. Yeah, that's my dude. Love me some Travis,
dude. I will. On long road trips, like I will put on his drum solo albums and just hammer away, dude.
Oh, him and DJ AM had some good stuff at Coachella. That's a good driving music. Love it, bro. You know that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he was with Typhoid Mary too.
Oh. What rings a bell?
I mean, we got so off topic, but so everybody knows Deadpool was with Death. Death is the reason why Thanos was going after all of the Infinity Stones. But Deadpool was never mentioned one time in the Infinity War saga. But that was the whole point. It's because he was getting the Infinity Stones so he could be with Death.
They changed that.
They changed it in the MCU.
Right.
Yeah.
In the end of the first Avengers, the one guy at the end where they had the cameo of Thanos, And the guy said, but that will be courting death. And he turns around and he does this number. And that was supposedly the nod, but they changed it. And then they came up with the, the nihilist, well, we're going to make the universe more efficient and destroy half the life. That way, there is that.
That also made sense, by the way.
But all of that happened before Deadpool was ever a character in the comics.
Okay.
Deadpool wasn't the thing with Deadpool and death didn't happen until late 90s, early to mid 2000 type deal. It was not a thing when he was really courting death and hardcore when he first went after.
Well, I think she was courting him. No,
Death didn't care. How that whole thing came about is he the Finnick guy.
It is.
It is. But the whole thing is he got the notion of these cosmic beings, of course, him being a eternal and all that stuff, and he fell in love with Death. Death didn't pay him any attention. So
we're talking about Thanos, right?
You were talking about Thanos.
Okay, yeah.
So Death didn't pay him any attention, and Thanos said, I'll show you my love for you, and I'll destroy, I'll give you all these lives. And that's why he started going after that. You're right. At first, he didn't know she was Death. And then he said, okay, I'm going to give you all these lives. And when he figured that out, even if you look at the comic books, the whole time he's doing that, she's standing there in the background. And most of the time, she doesn't even, she might throw a glance at him or doing that stuff. But until it happened, she was totally unmoved by any of that stuff. But they loved they loved each other as much as she could love and all this stuff. Later, they came out with, after he died, came back, you had the Infinity Watch and all this other stuff. And Deadpool was ramping up and all that stuff. They were like, okay, what's a way to fix him, to do this, to do that? And let's tie him in with this. And that's when they got that he fall in love with Death thing, which I never liked that. I think he should have stuck with Siren. If you don't know who Siren is Banshee's daughter.
Yeah.
I love that.
Very underrated, by the way.
Yes. That kind of quirky relationship that they had. That was but the whole Death thing, and then of course Thanos makes it so that he can't die, he truly can't die, so they can never be together. Yeah, petty as shit.
I mean, if you look back on like all the comic books and like villains and stuff, it was all just pettiness. Like that's all it was.
A lot of it is. And that's like a lot of the stuff that was happening in X-Men 97.
Yes, we went off the rails, which is typical here. It's what we do, but we get back on topic right now.
Sinister injected Nathan with the virus. That was petty as shit. He didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
And of course they send him with Bishop into the future, but that's the capital of okay, y'all might have stopped me, but I'm gonna fuck y'all up, just because I can.
Dude, Sinister, that dude, if there was ever a problem, you could probably trace it back some way or another to Sinister.
Yeah.
My sister had a great point on it, so she gets props on this one. Like when it started, Bishop was there and in the credits starting out, and Beast is fixing his time band. So she's like, you already know Bishop's gonna leave and Cable's gonna check in. She's like, she called that. She's like, they're fixing his bracelet. Bishop's gonna, and didn't Bishop come back right at the end, like at the very end, right?
At the very end. Like episode 10. He's like, hey, dude.
Yeah, but she's like, you know, Bishop's gone, right? I'm like, right, really? She's like, yeah, he's fixing his bracelet. You know, now we got baby Nathan. Like, Bishop's gone. Like, he's going away. But I like we talk about that living intro. I like that, like, we got more Nightcrawler, and we're getting to see, like,
Dude,
again,
you
it goes
can
back to the
never have
cards.
enough Nightcrawler.
Oh God, and perfectly executed.
All the screen time that he got was absolutely awesome. I'm like, he deserved that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
More Nightcrawler, please.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They
and his
showed
dad is in the Deadpool trailer.
Azrael.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he's not just his dad; it's also Rogue's dad too.
Is this Are we going back to Wolverine Origins? Who is Will.i.am's character?
Wait, hold on. It's not Rogue's dad.
It's not. Who's the other one? Mystique.
It's not Mystique's dad. It was Mystique. Apparently, Mystique and Azrael got together, and Nightcrawler is their son.
That's right. That's right. I thought there was he has a sister as well. I thought.
There is a sister. I think her name is Sin or something like that.
Okay.
It's something. Sin is something to him. But yeah. What were you saying, Rob?
Oh no, I think this kind of a little bit of a deep cut. So yeah, you hit it on the head. You said the character was Azrael.
Azrael, yeah.
So who was? I think it was Will.i.am's character in Origins. Was that the name of the character? He was like
he was playing
this is the movie universe.
Not Maverick. Oh God, what was his name?
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't the best.
Something.
It wasn't the best movie.
Yeah.
But the video game was solid. The Wolverine, that Wolverine video game, Xbox 360, whatever it was awesome. It was solid. And there was a cutscene where it showed that him and Mystique had gotten together, something like that. And I was like, oh, they didn't touch on this in the movie. I can't remember what it was. Look it up online. I'm sure it's online. There was like a little tie-in.
Magic.
I am going to. Nightcrawler's sister is not Magic. Magic is Colossus's sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Magic is Colossus's sister.
All right, we've lost a few carts off our train going down the railway here. Which is common. We do that. We deep dive stuff we don't intend to deep dive, and we have a passion for something. It shows, and by damn it, we're passionate about our X-Men and our storylines and who's related to who in Marvel.
I got it. Will.i.am's character was Kestrel. His real name's John Rafe. And yeah.
Look at you, man.
A quick
Gibbs,
Google.
I'm impressed, Gibbs.
A quick Google search.
No, I looked up the Wolverine Origins, and you know.
Okay. I'm still impressed.
So are we good on 1 through 5? So we know I think it was midway through we found out Mr. Sinister was the going to be one of the big bads in X-Men 97. He's kind of like the mastermind manipulating everything behind the scenes. So you want to
was episode 5 the heavy one? Was episode 5 like the
episode 5 is Genosha. Yeah, let's hit episode 5.
Let's hit that.
Yeah, let's talk about episode 5. So they're preparing to join the UN, and the team goes there, and of course we get Rogue being, scandalous as well, going to be shacking back up with Magneto.
Going rogue.
Let's not. No. We're not going to do that to Rogue. Even when it was shown earlier, and Remy got it wrong because Remy didn't ask questions. He just like
assumed.
Most of us do. We see something, and we're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And then Remy being who he is, he didn't say anything, and it never changed anything. But he was like
punching air, yeah. Punching and kicking air. With tears in your eyes, absolutely. Because that's what I was doing.
But she had told Magneto in that first episode when we realized that they had a thing in the past that she was like, "It's never going to happen again, sugar." And even when they went to Genosha, she wasn't being scandalous. He came to her and he was like, "If I'm going to be this guy here, I need you." And this and this. And Remy was all in his feelings and basically was like, "Yeah, whatever." And so she was like, "Okay,
Well, we all know he's a hothead.
I'll do this and all this stuff." And it was one of those things where she was kind of pushed into it by Magneto setting it up and the optics of it all, and Remy being a total dick, which was kind of warranted, but not.
Well, I mean,
him being jealous.
that was him though. That's on par for him.
So Rogue wasn't Rogue. You're not going to put Rogue in the same bag as Jada Summers.
You bring up some good point. I think that's a very fair assessment, man. Gambit and Rogue, one of the best love stories, if you want to call it that, of all time. Forbidden Fruit, like they couldn't touch, they couldn't embrace, they couldn't touch,
Right.
And that was. He didn't give up. You know what I mean? And I mean that in not in a creepy way, like in an awesome.
No.
Like,
he loved her no matter what.
He loved her, man. And that was his queen. And even with this, you could see how it affected him. And it's almost one of those things. I'm almost going to contradict myself here, but like the way he went out. And first of all, no one cared about Magneto at all. That's a whole nother conversation. But the way he went out, man, it was perfect. Not Phantom Menace, the first remake, the J.J. Abrams Star Wars, Force Awakens.
We don't talk about it.
No, can I use an example?
No, you can't. No, go ahead.
Okay. I don't want to get kicked off.
Go for
I understand.
it. No, you would never. No.
They spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it many years ago, if you haven't seen it, mute it for a second. They killed Han Solo.
Wow.
I didn't. It's a big move. It's a big move to come in there and do that. I didn't hate it. I hated it when it happened, but I'm like, for the arc and stuff like that. And yeah, I know it's not on par with the others. It made sense. Right. And the line, it was his kid. Like, all right, we went there, and who knows? Harrison Ford probably wanted to end the character.
He did.
He did after the first one.
Exactly. But I was like, you come in here, you take this franchise, and you have the, to like, you're going to pull this move. And we saw how the other movies played out. And it was just like, whoa, this was similar. That made me think of that as like, if he's going to go out, him going out like a boss like this, his final words, Rogue holding him saying, "I can't feel you, sugar." Like, man, it was perfect. And like, I know we got that little tease, but first of all, yes, I want Gambit back. He might be my second favorite. Like, we want him back. And yeah, it's the Kongs. They always come back. Rarely do they not. They always come back. And he should, and that's the right way to go.
We'll save it for the end.
I almost don't, in terms of the way, just in terms of this episode and this scene, if he had to go out, it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was perfect, and I almost don't want them to touch it. Like, I want Gambit back. I know I'm contradicting myself a little bit, but poetry, man. It really was poetry.
That was a way to, and I like that. Black says she was for the streets.
Here's the thing, though. She loved him throughout the comic books. She really did. They were essentially the couple, despite everything.
There was a time where after the Age of Apocalypse happened, because they thought the world was dying, they saw the stuff happening, and they kissed right as the Age of Apocalypse happened when Legion killed Professor X and everything was crystallized. He kissed her. When it came back, he ended up in a coma and all this stuff. She went with the dude named Joseph for a long time. Yeah, it does. Balls, big balls. But she went with a guy named Joseph for a long time, and Joseph was the Magneto from the Age of Apocalypse era, continuity. Because she could touch him, and he made it to where they could touch. So there is that was going on there, but there's a couple things that I don't know who Captain Kickass is, but yeah, you got it.
Yep.
The thing with this whole episode was millions died there. They had all those cameos of mutants that was there, and my man Leech, who is from Leech's creation, it was as a Morlock. It was two of them, him and Artie. If they would have had Artie Maddox there, and Artie would have died, I would have y'all would have had a tirade from me that would have lasted, because Artie is one of the most misfortunate Morlocks that there ever was. Now, and him and Leech were best friends and all this stuff, but Leech just wanting, Magneto to save them. And, he told him, you'll never have that again. And that scene, when you said nobody cared when Magneto died, that scene where he did that and he looked and he had him going, in that fear in Leech's eyes, the way they made this cartoon, they got that feeling and emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, God dang.
It hits you in the feels, man.
And Leech has always been one of the most innocent of characters. Now, of course, how any of their powers worked while Leech was around is a fucking mystery, because Leech is a power drainer.
He's literally a leech.
Don't work around him. So we're going to skip over that shit, because the emotional depth, and I forget the other guys that was right there with Magneto and Leech when they got killed, but they didn't matter. It was all about Magneto and Leech.
Yep.
And then Remy. God damn. If you're going to go out, that's the way you go out.
Dude, go big and go home. He went big and went home.
Hey.
A raging Cajun, man. He went out like a boss.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. God dang.
All right. I know Rob has to step away from us at 9:30, if I'm not mistaken, to prepare for his next show.
No worries. 9:30, I'll tag out respectfully, but I'm having a ball, guys.
I just want to make sure we're respecting your time, because I know you're going to be hopping on and giving us King and Queen of the Ring predictions after this.
Switching to wrestling, Kelvin will be there.
Oh, wrestling.
Are you a wrestling guy too, Gibbs, or no?
I am.
Okay, who's your guy or girl?
Who's my guy?
Who are your favorites? Time? Yeah,
Dusty Rhodes.
There we go.
Son of a plumber.
There we go.
Okay. Georgia boy. Woo!
Yeah, okay.
Woo! That bionic elbow.
Him, Magnum TA. The Samoan SWAT team. And the Road Warriors.
Yeah, okay. My buddy Mike does a Dusty Rhodes cosplay. You may have seen some of the videos of him with Cody.
Amazing.
I'm gonna have him do a shout out for you, Gibbs. I got you.
All right,
that video.
That
video they just released with Macho Man and them getting kicked out of the house is cinematic gold.
Oh wait, what? I got to see this. What is this?
It's one they just recently did. It's Macho Man and Dusty. Like their wives kick them out of the house and then they like move in together.
Amazing.
And it's cinematic gold, man. It's like a 5-minute clip or something like that. But it's
Machoverse. Is it Machoverse and Mike Raimondi? Okay. Yeah. Check them. Shameless promo. Check them out. They're
they're brilliant. Mike Raimondi, like the voice, man. The only person who sounds better than him as Dusty is Dusty.
Yeah.
I'll be sure to check this one out.
Oh yeah, we're getting the shout out for sure.
Yeah, so they're shameless plugs, man. I love those guys. And then seeing Total What Time last night, man, that was fucking awesome, dude.
Oh,
pardon my French. That was awesome seeing him on last night.
Oh, awesome. He'll be thrilled that his ego will inflate, but
he sent me a friend request because I inflated his ego.
Good. Well, there you go. That's how it works. Bro. We talk about networking. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So we ready for 6 through 10?
Let's hit 6 through 10.
Perfect.
This is where it gets
real good. We're getting into the So we had a fucking crazy mid-season finale where we lost Remy, and now everything's going to fall apart to be rebuilt again. Rogue goes rogue in the next episode, and Storm gets her powers back.
Yep.
Let's discuss this Rogue going rogue before we
first. Let's hit up the episode 6.
Yeah, that's where I'm at
with Charles.
Okay, yeah,
true.
He's
up with Leandra and the Shi'ar Empire, and Charles is walking around with new legs.
With his bionic suit on.
Professor X, you got new legs.
In the ghetto of the Milky Way, as they put it.
That line right there that is forever how I will refer to the Milky Way universe is the ghetto.
The ghetto of the Milky Way. I want a sign that just says the ghetto of the Milky Way.
And of course, you see Deathbird kicking ass with Gladiator, and that was pretty awesome. And all of that, and Charles says, "Oh my God, I gotta go home."
Yeah, it's an interesting character. So remind me, because again, it was always Night of the Sentinel. Remind me what happened exactly to Professor X, where we thought he was gone.
He died.
How?
Boulevard Trash.
Yep.
Okay. But he's obviously somewhere else.
Yeah.
They took him to their home planet.
Leandra and them saved him, and it seemed like he died.
So, and I'm psychoanalyzing here, so tell me, be very honest with me if I'm wrong. Do we feel that Professor X, Charles Xavier, lost sight of his mission statement, lost sight of his home, what's going on? We lost Gambit in the meantime. We see him come around. Was he blinded by love? Was he blinded by this new life, the ability to walk, things of that nature? Am I reading this wrong? Was that kind of the internal conflicts? Because I don't know if that's true to the character.
When it kind of was in the comic books too, because this actually happened in the comic books where he went off with Leandra and was her consort, if you will, in the Shi'ar Empire, and they were having all sorts of shit there. And he was always conflicted because he wanted to go back. He was always checking on his X-Men. He was that. So that confliction is always there for him. But in this one, like when he did the whole Professor X thing, and then he got a glimpse of, oh my God, my X-Men are they're here. He feels that, I would say, kind of like survivor's remorse.
Yep.
Oh my God, would this have happened if I was still there type deal? Oh my God, this is my fault. I was not there. And he's like, okay, I got to go back.
Well said, man. This is why you're here, man. Thank you. You explained that to me, bro. Because I'm like, it's almost like his mission statement. He gives. He gives mutants a home, and teaches them to control their powers and tries to do right by everybody. And now he's kind of doing his own thing.
No, he has some selfishness in him too.
And he's allowed to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I think that's just the human part of him.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well said.
Yeah, but like we said, Storm gets her powers back. They mess up they get rid of the adversary, and they do all that stuff. So
can we just take a second to appreciate Forge and him getting some screen time?
Yeah. Forge has always been an awesome character.
He really has. And in the comic book, he never got as much love as he deserved to do the things that he did behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Please.
He's been a part of a couple X-Men teams there over the years. And, there was that, but he's mainly worked in the background.
He's kind of like the guy in the chair, like the Spider-Man movies. You know what I mean? Guy in the chair. Wow. See what Calvin put. Leave me alone, my X-Men.
Oh god.
Oh, Calvin's in rare form tonight. I don't know.
We're gonna get a good show out of him later.
I don't know.
He's gonna be wilding on the show later. I'm telling you.
I'm here for it.
But yeah, that whole thing was there. So as they go back, and Storm kind of helps heal Forge.
Yep.
How the hell was that ever in her power set? Healing people.
I agree. I get that's why I didn't like the whole spirit quest or side journey or that's when it gets all kind of interpretive, that's where you lose me. So I'm with you on that. I struggled with a lot of those little things.
This is one of those episodes where it didn't make the sense that you wanted it to make sense, but we got classic Rogue in the classic outfit, so we couldn't be mad.
We got a lot of classic outfits.
Yeah.
Except for the black leather.
So it makes sense with the spiritual aspect when you're talking about Forge, because in the comics, Forge that was part of the cool thing with Forge is, his mutant ability is if he thinks it, he can make it.
Yep.
He's not 100% sure how the fuck it works, but if he thinks it, he can make it.
Yep.
But he also has a shaman aspect in the comics, in which it's small and then grows larger as he delves deeper into it. So that kind of jives with what they had there, and helping her, defeat the adversary, which I think was a little analogy for what's his name, the whatchamacallit King, Chaos King, or whatever his name was.
Okay, yeah, it's Chaos King.
Yeah, I think that was kind of a little because he used to mess with her a lot. But yeah. Other than that, I was cool with it. It was just like, where did she get the ability to heal from? But I like it. I like them two together. I've always liked Storm and her together. Of course, not as much as I like Storm and Black Panther together, but
dude, that's actually, I think that arc in the comic book just come to a close, if I'm not mistaken, the current run of it.
No, you talking about Storm and Black Panther?
Yeah.
That's been over for years.
Well, no, it was a rerun of it with the new covers and everything. Same story, just brought pages and inks and that kind of stuff. They revived it and brought it back, and of course they tweak it a little bit and here and there to make the writing more today. But it was still a good run.
That run sucked. The way that it ended, they ended, that was a writer who came in and was like, I don't like it, get rid of it.
How did it end? I'm curious.
There was a time in the 2000s, I think it was.
Yeah.
Or it might have been late 90s, early 2000s, where
it was around about 2010.
Yeah, if they didn't like it, they just trashed it. They would write it off.
It was during the time of when a lot of stuff was happening in Wakanda, and he went there, and it was one of the X-Men versus Avengers type deal, and he was upset because he thought that she was in collusion with something, and she didn't tell him something, and she was like, I just found out. He goes, well, are you still with the X-Men? She goes, these are my people,
yeah.
We're not this, we're trying to hit. He said, well, yeah, it's already done. You're no longer my wife. You didn't even have to be there. I did it back in Wakanda. Yep. And that was it.
Is that true to the character, or is that a little out of?
No. It's not
Yeah.
it's not true to him or any of that stuff. And again, that was a writer that came in, and they were just like, nope, we're not liking this. I won't go into more of what I think about that, but basically it was, we're done with this, and we're going to end it in the most dumb and stupid way possible.
There was a lot of comic books in the late 90s into the 2000s that they were just like, writers were quitting because they were tired of Marvel shit and being underpaid. And they were just like, we're done. we quit, and they brought in new writers, and new writers were like, we hate this shit, and started changing everything.
Yeah.
Now here we are in 2024, and Marvel pays their writers better. They get long-term deals for, longer times, and the writing's improved greatly. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
okay, I was off an episode. It was episode 6 where she. Oh no, we were talking about episode 6.
We were talking about episode 6 with
Yeah, Storm
Professor
getting
X
her powers
Storm.
back, and Professor X getting some strange in the stars in
And
the
then-
ghetto Milky Way. Yeah,
And then episode 7 is where Rogue goes full.
yep. When she murks Captain America, and
She doesn't murk him. She beats him. They fight, and then she throws the shield. That petty.
she didn't just throw that shield. She chunked that shit and dared him to do something.
Petty. That was
Exactly.
petty shit. That was petty. That was like she was like, "Well, don't stand in my way," and he goes, "Well," and she goes, and then flies off.
Pretty much.
But that was a great episode and some great cameos too, because we got Captain America and we got what's his name? Red
Thunderbolt.
Hulk. And we had Thunderbolt
Ross.
too. Yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross. So yeah. And of course they go back to everything goes back to Madripoor.
Mm-hmm. It always does there. In anything related to X-Men, it always seems to tie back into there.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's done on purpose. It's there or Genosha. One of the two. Everything ties back to those two places.
What do you guys think of Rogue going Rogue? Do you think that's true to the character? Do you think it's the extreme, stress, like when people grieve, they go through stuff, man? Did you guys think that was a fitting character arc? The juxtaposition being Captain America, the essential Boy Scout, and she kind of is cool with him, and then like you said, it was kind of petty, like she throws, go get it, go find it, kind of a thing. Did you guys think that was true to the character? I thought it was an interesting character arc for her, and she's got to be frustrated. Did you guys think that was well done?
Yes.
Yeah.
And true to the character.
Rogue is her
exactly.
name.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. Black says she yeeted that shield. True to the character to the point of in the comic books, she was going rogue because she was having problems dealing with the Carol Danvers powers that she stole, as Marvel's power, and she was having problems, but she was causing all sorts of havoc. I mean, she went basically rogue, and that's when Storm was trying to save her and got shot and lost her powers in the comics, and it kind of, she kind of snapped out of it and all this stuff. But she, in the comics, she had a history of, going ape shit and going
eating.
Yeah, she would go and eat somebody's lunch. Yeah.
But by the way, Carol Danvers never really recovered from Rogue.
She did.
She didn't, but it was like much, much later.
Oh, it was decades later. Decades she spent in a coma, and Angel helped heal her after he became Archangel, and he healed her, and then the Latin Kree, the Kree blood that was in her from Captain Marvel kick-started and all that stuff, and then she lost that power, became binary, and then Captain Marvel as we know her.
Did you guys see that I don't want to say meme, it was like that graphic. I think it's legit. It was like the animated cell of Rogue with her hand on the head or whatever of I think Carol Danvers, correct me if I'm wrong, and they're like, she's keeping her in the coma because you don't see the glove animated on, and then but you can kind of see like the bracelet like of the glove, you know what I'm saying, like the bottom part, and they're like, oh no, they just forgot to paint the yellow on the glove, like, and it's like this whole thing. It's like, I'll have to find it and show you guys, but it's like this whole thing. It's like, no, she's not wearing the glove, like she's keeping her in this state, and that's like another
She's refreshing her power.
Yeah, well, that too.
Topping off,
Or it's, like,
topping
interesting.
off.
And they're like
Gotta keep the
Carol
tank
smiles
filled.
when she does it. Like it's all these like fantasy. It's very interesting, but who knows?
I'm
They
gonna have
could
to
just found
look
a
at
painting
that.
club.
Yeah, I would have to look
gotta
because
find
I'm not too familiar with it, but damn, now I want to see it because if she's been going back to top up, then
I think they probably
that's like the
paint club
ultimate
is what it
villain.
is, but
That's of some villain shit right there.
Hell
Like, let me
yeah.
go top
like it.
up real quick.
hey, rogue,
Swing
like
it
you
to the
said.
gas station.
But we find out of that Trask was taken out to help with Operation Zero Tolerance.
Yep.
And all that stuff, and they track him down, and Cable comes back and saves the day.
And she tried to kill him. They're like, "Wait, we do that now?" And Wolverine's like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'm back, baby."
Oh man, that's Wolverine. Not to get too sidetracked, real quick. Did you guys read like the Civil War run, like the comic book ones?
Yeah.
That series. So like Wolverine had a run in that, right?
Yep.
He had his own storyline, and Wolverine's. I'm not condoning this, but Wolverine, the heroes are all infighting, and it's getting political, and like spoiler alert, Spider-Man like unmasks and reveals his identity and that whole thing and the registration, all that stuff. Wolverine actually goes after the guy that like caused this explode. Was it Nitro or whatever his name was?
Yeah.
Explosion, and I think he kills him.
He does.
Like Wolverine is just like, you guys do this, I'm gonna go take care of this guy.
So
Like
Wolverine had no problems killing. Like he would, if something needed to be killed, send Wolverine, he'd kill it.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they toe that line, I think, in the animated, which is, I mean, he's beating up robots most of the time, but which is right. And again, we talked about Wolverine, but they kept him very not on the sidelines, but very subplot, very lines. And I thought it was perfect how they did Wolverine here, and he's my favorite.
Well, in the X-Men, that he calmed down, and he's much older by the time he joins the actual X-Men. But
You talking about in the comics?
Well, yeah, and in the animated series, he's older at that point.
Series.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, no, Wolverine, he did some killing. I mean, the dude's a few hundred years old. I think by the time he joins the X-Men, something like that.
He's like 165.
Yeah,
he's old as dirt.
I just thought it was interesting, like just because everyone else was fighting, and I get it, that's the whole main plot, but like his whole arc was like tracking this guy down and like finding the villain, and no one else was doing that.
Nobody cared about that anymore. But Wolverine, I think because one Namorita, I think, died in that, and something else happened, and Wolverine took that personal. And he was like, "Yep, this dude, he's got to die."
And let's just say it as it is. He took a lot of stuff personal, and if he just didn't like you anyway, he would probably kill you. So,
when in the comics, when he first came on, that was part of what his thing. He was always bouncing, and he was always fighting and doing all that stuff, and that was well, you see the consequences of that in this, this season.
So I will say this. So we just had Marvel Echo, right?
Right.
Well, Echo didn't just go to Oklahoma City right away. She took a long detour, and on that detour, she met Wolverine.
Yep.
And Wolverine and her traveled together for quite a while. And a lot of the stuff that Echo learned was from Wolverine.
Yeah.
So he helped mold her into what she became after Fisk.
True.
So a little side story there.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that.
Little history lesson.
So,
It's actually in the comic, but they don't talk about a lot of that stuff too much from the comic books.
Yeah, it's not in the TV series, but it's in the comics.
Yep.
Can I fast forward just because I'm going to cut out in about
10
10
Yeah, absolutely, bro.
No, I'm not trying to speak. Do your thing. I just wanted to say something that crossed my mind. So in the finale or the last episode, so they all kind of had to do the time shift, right? I'm jumping ahead here, but I wanted to get this in. So like some people go to ancient Egypt.
Yep.
Some people go the future. So my guy he was in like a hospital bed or he was like in the bed. Where did Wolverine go?
That's a great question, and we're not sure. They did that on
My
purpose.
theory now.
Is he in the bed still? Like,
You want to hear my theory now?
I want to hear all you guys got. Yeah, I'm like, where's he's my guy.
What comes out in July? What comes out in July?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
What are they doing in it? Time jumping.
Okay, there's a connection here between the animated and
I'm not following.
I'm here for it.
I mean, he was still in the bed, but nobody knows where he went. What if
Are you that's
the Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine is that Wolverine? Because the costume is that costume.
He was wearing the orange and brown though. I think he was wearing because they all had the old suits. I think for that last battle. I like where you're going.
Fan theory in here.
I like where you're going with this.
I like the thing. I like that, but
is that what we get? I don't know, but that's kind of the way it ended, and everybody got separated, and they're all in different times. I was like, what if Deadpool's time jumping and getting them?
What if that's the opening to the movie? It's just him appearing somewhere.
I'm not gonna shoot it full of holes because I like it, but I'll let you have that one. Bang bang, just know
that would be next level and awesome.
Hey, you ready?
I can be completely fucking off on this, but as that ended, and we've been getting all the previews for Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like, but what if that's Deadpool jumping and saving their asses, and that's how we get to X-Men in the MCU? But hey, again, this is just the chairman's like wild theory.
I'm gonna let you have it.
I'm just saying. But if that's if that's what happens, you fucking heard it here first.
I was just gonna say, man, now like I owe you a Coke or something.
And if
black on it,
I'm telling you, the next time I'm on the podcast, and if that's what's happened in Deadpool and Wolverine, my head's gonna be like this fucking big, and I'm gonna have a shit-eating grin that just doesn't leave my face.
Oh my gosh!
I'm gonna let you have it. I mean, you're right. It's not MCU canon.
But they didn't say it wasn't either.
Here's why it is. Okay. We'll leave it alone.
Just saying.
They're obviously going to call back to like the X-Men Origins and the old X-Men movies and stuff like that. But what if they, I mean, they will anyway, but what if they do what you said first, man? Like coming out of that, it's fresh because the Wolverine's done. You know, Hugh Jackman was done.
We know we're not getting season 2 of X-Men 97, at least until the fall winter time frame.
Yeah.
Because I know it's done. It's done. Like the only thing they're doing is polishing animation right now.
Wow.
We shall see.
So that's my one theory. I know Rob's going to be leaving us soon. So I wanted at least when he brought that up, I was like, hey, let me go ahead and give you my fan theory.
There you go.
And
I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm gonna let that one ride. I'm not gonna shoot it full of holes.
Because if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Awesome. I've been wrong many of times, but
it's so awesome for discussion.
Precisely, and that's why I wanted to throw that one out there for everybody to think about.
You got to put that on Twitter, I feel like, so it comes back to you.
I mean, maybe I had the Twitter
maybe don't, so people can experience it if it happens. I don't know. I'm a spoiler guy, but it's brilliant.
Put it like this right here. This will get uploaded to Spotify. That way, if it does come out and that's what happens, I haven't seen nobody else say that theory yet. I have it documented right now that I was the one to call it.
Type that shit out on the USDN.
I will type that out later. I will get that out into the
hell yeah,
the verse rumor.
Yeah,
that you started.
Hey, and that's what it's all about. Like I see so many people put shit out there, and it's quite literally shit. Like I used to shovel that when I was a kid on the farm. All right. But at least mine makes some damn sense.
Hey, not on BCP Plus, championship journalism, man. That's, you know, and not on USDN.
And I put out great articles on BCP. I'm just saying.
There we go.
My new article will be out next week as soon as King and Queen of the Ring comes to a conclusion. Shout out to Mike Mueller, who just wrote an excellent article on the history of the King and Queen of the Ring. Just saying.
There we go.
Love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So, Rob, I know you're going to be leaving us.
I'm sorry.
Plug your stuff, man. I want you to plug everything you got before you hop off. And as soon as we're done here, I'm actually hopping on and watching y'all. So
appreciate it. Yeah, I'm gonna finish up some laundry real quick. Check on the dog. Set up for we got our King and Queen of the Ring predictions panel over on the Bob Culture Podcast YouTube channel, over on BCP Plus. On my Facebook page, we'll be streaming as well. Finish this episode of USDN first, because I feel bad. I gotta tag out of this one. It's been a great discussion. I'm so glad we talked about that last episode. I'm sorry to fast forward. It's totally worth it.
No,
it was great. It was great. Gibbs, so nice to meet you, man. I'll add you on Facebook because I want to send you guys the road
please
picture.
do. Hey, just share it on the USDN and we'll all talk about it.
Okay. And it might have been, hopefully it's not just some fan thing, but hopefully it's legit.
Even if it is a fan thing, we'll talk about it.
Okay, I love it.
We love that shit.
I love it. But an honor being here, guys. We'll definitely do it again. Jeffrey, we got to have you on our show down the line on a predictions panel, two-way street, like I always say. Guys, check us out. We've been the Bob Culture Podcast for years. Interviewing a lot of, the wrestlers on the independent level, the national level. We've talked to Johnny Gargano, Kofi Kingston. We even interviewed a Ghostbuster, Mr. Ernie Hudson, man, which is like my childhood. So
hey, has that one come out yet?
Well, Ernie Hudson?
Yeah.
Oh, it's very.
Oh
very,
yeah, that's the one that Bill mentioned last night, right?
Yeah, I don't even think there's video. This was like pre-podcast. I mean, it was a pod. I mean, this is me walking around with a handheld recorder at horror cons, So we really come a long way. Now we're on site covering WWE events. We have all the UFL. Guys, go over to bcp-plus.com right now. We have Yankees and Mets coverage, WWE coverage, AEW, a lot of great stuff from Jeffrey T. Fountain himself, man. So go over there, check it out. Follow us on socials at Bob Culture Pod. And thank you guys so much for having me. We'll definitely do this again. And I'm probably going to watch the rest of this tomorrow. So thank you guys so much.
Hey, Rob, appreciate you, man. We'll see you over there on the other side here in a little bit.
You guys rock.
You guys are awesome. And you guys are a wealth of knowledge, and I am not worthy. So thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Rob.
All right. Peace. Thank you.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Rob Williams, and I owe a lot to him. I'm going to just put it out there right now. I know he just left, but he gave me a chance to write about something that I'm passionate about, and it's freaking awesome that I get to write about wrestling. And yeah, it's wrestling, WRASSLIN. So big props to him. Big props for him coming on tonight and fitting us into his busy schedule. I've been trying to get him on for literally months and months and months. And I was like, hey, I know he's a big fan of Vetsman. Let me just shoot the shot and see if he's got time. And it just so happened that he had time. So big props to him for taking time out of his very, very busy day to come on and talk with us and share his passion of Vetsman as well. So Rob, let's jump back in, man.
All right. Tag. So
all right, so we're on Boulevard Tarask. And Rogue just murking this motherfucker. She's like, I'm killing this dude.
Yeah, she
literally just said, bloop.
Yeah, Cable kind of disarms him and all that stuff to stop that from happening. And he kind of explains what's going on, because he's from the future, so he has that future knowledge and going on. And he tells them that their real adversary is Bastion.
Yep.
Which we start going into Tolerance's extinction from here, which is actually, they do a fantastic friggin' job of fleshing out who
Bastion is.
Bastion is.
Because he's not really a mutant.
He is a mutant.
I mean, he is, but the way they kind of present him is like he doesn't believe that. Like he believes he's something above that. Like he's the next evolution in the timeline of what mutants could be.
Could be, right? He sees him as an alpha mutant. And, I think he even says later on, too bad, suckers. We're going to get rid of all the mutants. And if humans can't get down with it, then it'll just be me and my prime sentinels.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of explained it that he affects them people like Sinister was using the techno organic virus to infect mutants and all that stuff. which of course, Cable is, he's
He's
a
a
victim of
techno,
that.
yeah. Well, he would have been a mutant no matter what, but he is the byproduct of that, and we know that Bishop and him got separated
Right,
in the time jump.
right. They talk about that, and of course, he ends up, with the Ascani, and
Hmm.
Bishop, does what he does.
So let's talk about that real quick because that is a cameo that we get when they do the split, when the time jump happens and they all get
Uh-huh.
separated. So Mother Iscani is Rachel Summers.
Uh,
In this cartoon for X-Men 97, they said it was Rachel Summers.
I didn't see that they said that it was Rachel Summers. I know that I haven't seen that yet. And it could be. I know that at different points
Mm-hmm.
in her life, she was Mother
Mother
Escott.
Iscani. Yep.
I know that when because when they go into the future, Cyclops and Jean, that's harrowing the Red and Slim adventures from the comic books.
Yep.
And that Mother Escani was not Rachel.
It wasn't. You're absolutely correct. And as I was doing, because this is part of the stuff I sent you earlier, when I was looking at it, they specifically said that this one was Rachel Summers, and that could just be because anybody can come in and well, I pulled it from IMDb actually, and then one of the other websites, and it may have just been like, oh, by the way, Mother Scotty was also Rachel Summers, who, oh, by the way, is one of Jean and Scott's children as
Yeah.
well. And that's
And
kind of like
that's
the point I was making on that one.
because she comes from the future and she's an Ascani, and she
Yep.
goes back to the future, and that's when she becomes Mother Ascani at different times. So that'll be interesting. And that'll be
And it's a lot of implications for future stuff if that's what they roll with it within
correct.
the cartoon verse. We'll call it a
Correct.
cartoon verse. So, but I thought that was cool that because when the character comes up and she's walks toward them, I'm like, are they intending that to be who I think they're intending that to be? And then when I was reading later on, after I built my baseline of stuff, I was like, oh, they are saying Rachel Summers on this one. And then I checked a few more, and there's a few other sites that also said Rachel Summers. So I don't know if they were like exactly saying like, oh no, that's the Rachel Summers version of Mother Ascani. So
Correct.
who knows? We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully
We'll see.
in
That'll
season
be
2.
interesting. That'll be interesting because we'll see, because that would mean that she helped to raise
Her brother.
Nathan,
Mhm.
and so we'll see about that. That's very interesting. But with the whole Bastion thing, they talk about it several times that he has a bone to pick with Xavier because he was like,
You
I could
left
have
me
been one of
behind.
you left me
Yep.
behind, you did this. And they were like, nah, that was your mama and her anti-mutant type deal.
Yep.
And his mother did teach him to hate mutants and all that stuff. So
The whole time, I mean, she knew he was a mutant, but she pretended that it wasn't a thing.
yeah.
So, I mean, in the
Well-
real world here, we would call it neglect, but
she didn't want him to grow up with that stigma. She knew
Yeah.
that was going on. And so in her own
I mean, Sunspot's mother was the
distorted
same
she was
way.
trying to protect him, but yeah, she really just fucked him up.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
But
clearly, we got 3 episodes of him trying to destroy everything.
and during this, Charles comes back. Professor X comes back.
He left the one thing he could do in space, and that's walk. And one of the loves of his life as well.
Yeah, he did. And he came back, and the mansion was all jacked up, and they were like, "Oh, so you are alive."
Yeah, and you can tell that they're like, Scott's gonna be Scott. He's gonna welcome him back with open arms. But there was some that were like, "Oh, really, motherfucker? You're back all of a sudden?"
Yeah.
And
it was
we've seen that happen with him more than once, on more than one occasion.
Yeah, and we find out what has been happening with Magneto, that he wasn't killed, and
Yep.
Sinister has been, Bastion has been doing the whoop, 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 mind screw on him.
Mm-hmm.
That was some crazy mess at the end of the episode where he's shaving him and talking to him. I'm like, yo,
Yeah, that's
that's some
some
old,
that's some put the lotion on the skin, or I guess the hose again shit right there,
yeah.
man.
I was like, okay, no, flag on the plate. That's something,
Dude, that
but,
shit was so awkward.
but
I'm
it worked,
like, it,
you
it
know.
did. It really lined who his character was and like how his head really worked, you
Yeah.
know?
And then Magneto came back and said, "Hey, you can join me in both Sunspot and Rogue do."
Mm-hmm.
They do,
Yep.
and that was also stemming from Sunspot's own mother,
Yeah.
willing to sell him out, and
She pushed him under a bus so fast it wasn't funny.
oh my God, just go with them. I'd have burned everybody in that.
But you know what it did was it really helped him come out of his shell and realize his true potential as well. So yeah, it's fucked up, but he learned that he could fly and he could
Well, he
burn
knew
you
he
with
could fly
a
before
thousand
that.
suns.
He knew he could fly before that. He just wasn't using his powers. He was
Okay.
trying not to because his family wanted him to hide it. But not only did they want him to hide it, but she readily was going to give him over to the Friends of Humanity, not the Friends of Humanity, the Prime Sentinels.
Prime Sentinels.
Just like, hey, just go with them. Do this and do this. And he was like, Mother, what?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Eh." So he kind of
She
felt
really
like,
shrugged that shit off like it was like nothing. Just like,
yeah. So he
I'll make
kind of
another child.
he's not feeling too inclined with the regular humans.
So you know what's funny is that one of the parents had to carry the X gene in order for him to be born a mutant. So if they were to have another child, there's a high probability of that child also being born a mutant.
No, I believe he does have a younger sibling in the comics and no mutant.
Okay. I mean, it is. Is it? Do they consider it a recessive gene in the comic? I can't remember.
Some bloodlines carry it strong, like
Yeah.
the Summers bloodline carries
Yep.
it strong. Others is just they can be the start of that bloodline of the X gene popping up. That was just it. They were saying that some families you could track it, and others they were just a true X factor.
What was that? That really shitty X-Men ripoff movie that gave us magic in it the first time. But it had the Native American girl in it.
You talking about the
New Mutants? Is it?
Yeah, New Mutants.
Yeah, the Native American girl. I think hers is because she was chosen. If I think is how it worked within their culture is like that chose the person.
Kinda, yeah.
I think it's how it worked for them because it was weird the way they laid it out. It was a horrible movie. They did Sunspot dirty. Well, they did them all dirty.
They did them all dirty. All of them was dirty.
But yeah, so I mean, there's different things out there, but I know within that one culture, it was like they felt like you were chosen by whatever it was to become that.
That was their way of explaining the X gene in her tribe. That was their way of explaining it because they didn't have any other way of explaining it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Why it came through, but yeah. But they going back to 97, they actually go to Muir Island. So we see them going to Muir Island, and they're making plans, to split the team. To go after Magneto and the others to go after Bastion.
Mm-hmm. Can we figure out why Wolverine is always chosen for Gold Team and to go after Magneto in every single timeline?
Well, because they figured that they figured that his ferocity might help win the day or any of this stuff.
I mean, he did to some degree, but he also paid for it once again with his adamantium skeleton.
Yes, and
and it is brutal to watch every single time. No matter in comic book form or animated
cartoon,
or it is brutal.
Yeah.
But I got a feeling season 2 is going to fit some stuff.
I don't know.
We'll look at season 2 when we get toward the end.
We got to see how season 2 comes out.
Because I got some ideas on season 2 as well.
When and you know what? And I'm going to say this just like in the comic books. Wolverine absolutely deserved it.
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
Magneto had basically put his stuff on pause and he stabs him through. Now, whether or not Magneto should have died, we can get into that. But all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, he just tried to kill me. That was when he was talking to Professor X. He was like, he just tried to kill me. Yeah, and did.
Yeah.
And for him to yank it, that was the most satisfying shot in this whole deal. One, because
and you knew it was coming. If you were familiar with this storyline that in the last 3 episodes, you knew that shit was coming. We just didn't know how brutally they were going to show it.
Yeah.
In the TV series.
Yeah.
And by damn, it is every time to watch it. It's a unique experience to see whether you're reading it or you're watching it. It's
I know people that straight up was upset and sad, and they were like, "Oh my God, Wolverine!"
Yeah,
dude, like he said,
it doesn't take away. Like the skeleton didn't really take anything away from him. He still has the ability to heal. He's still Wolverine. Only now he doesn't weigh 400 pounds.
What? No. When he ripped out when Magneto, even in the comics, when he ripped out that adamantium, it fucked up his healing factor so much that it was never the same again.
That's how we got Old Man Logan later too, because of this.
Well, we got Old Man Logan because he survived every fucking thing that was out there.
And I think at the time when at Old Man Logan, he was what, 300, 400? He
was old. Not quite then, because some of the X-Men were still around. But when you sit up there and you look at it, he when in the comic books, after whatchamacallit pulls out his adamantium and all this stuff, he's in a coma. He's sleeping. He's doing all this stuff like it was in the TV series. But then he kind of disappears for a while. He does this whole thing and his bone claws come out and all this stuff. And we're like, oh my God, he really does have bone claws.
Yeah, he had them. Like in his origins, he had those.
Well, the origins, remember, the origins came much later.
Comic book origins, my bad. Let me rephrase what I'm saying.
Comic book origins came later after that showed him what bone claws came after he had his adamantium ripped out.
Okay.
Right. So and it just made sense. But that whole deal and it leads me to something else. After they go up there and they basically put down Magneto and all this stuff. Xavier kind of goes in there and he's doing the Vulcan mind meld to him. And Wolverine, they're trying to save him. They stabilize him. Morph says something to him as they're all going. And he kind of fights. He's like, but he's like, I know she can't say it for you, but she can't say it because she's not here. And then he turns into Gene. He goes, I love you too more, Logan. And he's kind of like, any of this stuff. They've actually said that was kind of Morph professing his love for Wolverine too.
I did see that, and Morph wasn't really. Morph is one of those characters. He's not very well used within the comic book world the way he should be. I mean, he is, but he like some of the stuff he was used for was like spying and like I think he went years and years on a mission one time just feeding the X-Men intel off of something else.
Well, that was after, because when he first got his start and all that stuff, with the Age of Apocalypse and all that,
Mhm.
when he came back, he was with the Exiles
Yep.
and going back and forth and doing that. They didn't kind of know what to do with him. So he was that kind of throwaway guy who was never fleshed out or any of that stuff. We kind of get to see during this whole season, the first half of the season, when he's talking about Sinister, we kind of get to see his real face and how he really
Mhm.
looks, but there's a thing also that Morph doesn't ever wear clothes. He just morphs his body to look like he's wearing clothes.
I've seen that before.
Yeah. But there was that. And that
It's
whole
no different
deal,
from Mystique.
well, they say Mystique does it too at times.
Yeah.
Mystique is weird.
Well, yeah.
But and I think that's why they kind of limited both Morph in the comics and in whatever, is because we already had Mystique. He basically does the same thing, except for they show that he has some of the powers of the people that
he does have that ability,
which means he could potentially be an Omega level mutant. But
if he was ever done correctly. Yeah,
correct. But he says that, and that I think that's going to cause problems in the future, because all Wolverine is going to see is Jean says she loves me. Oh,
yeah. We'll see how that one fleshes out in season 2, because I got a feeling that one may come back.
It will, but the other half of the team went to Bastion, and that got disastrous really, really quick.
It did, and some of the stuff that happened in that episode really was like, what is going on right now, and why are they doing it this way? Like I couldn't really. I mean, I could wrap my head around it, but it was like, why are they doing it this way, though?
Well, they really wanted to show the totality of it in a way to bring back the Phoenix.
That was the last of it too,
because that's the only way that they fucking helped the overpowered Bastion and stopped him was Jada Gray turned into I'm not calling her Jean Grey. She's Jada Gray.
Yeah, she's Jada Gray from now on.
But
she became the White Phoenix, which was the last of the Phoenix Force.
She became the White Phoenix.
Was it White Phoenix? Or was she just
the regular Phoenix?
Oh, okay.
And it might have been White Phoenix, but
I could have swore I heard some mention of the White Phoenix, because that was like what was left of the Phoenix Force after it was finally like done.
Because we'll see, because she becomes the Phoenix later on again.
I know. That's why I'm just like, yeah. That's why there was some stuff that played out in that episode where I was just like, this. I'm like, okay, let's just roll with it and see where they're going with it.
Well, the Phoenix is their Deus Ex Machina. So that's how they beat Bastion, and they shut him down. And then it becomes all about, the whole tolerance is extinction thing. That whole thing plays in. And after they stop that, they stopped the Prime Sentinels, and you see everybody fighting against the Prime Sentinels. That's where we have the, cameos of the Black Panther and
so let's we can hit some cameos real quick. And so we had Silver Samurai,
Silver Samurai standing on the building.
Captain America, Iron
Yep.
Man, Doctor Strange, Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, as a Prime Sentinel.
I didn't
There
see
is a
that.
character, like when you watch it, watch it back, or you could just Google Carol Danvers Prime Sentinel, and it will show that there was a Prime Sentinel that has the same headgear that Carol Danvers wears as Captain Marvel.
Huh.
Even though
Okay.
she was in a coma at the time.
Huh.
And they were saying that's why I that was like one where I was just like, oh, damn, really? But we had Black Panther, Daredevil, Cloak and Dagger,
Yes.
which it was cool to see Cloak and Dagger. I'm not going to lie.
That TV
Spider-Man, of
series
course.
was pretty
Dude,
cool too.
it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mega Red, which was one of my favorite villains from back in the day.
Right.
Dark Star, Crimson Dynamo, Psylocke, Cypher, Alpha Flight, which is a Canadian group of North Star, Puck, and Aurora.
Yep.
Then you get the Children of Magneto, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, and Polaris.
Yep.
On the boat. Then Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and Flash.
Yep.
We get it Apocalypse and Mother Ascani, which those were the big ones. And
yeah, after the time jump.
Yep. And we're going to touch on Apocalypse before we close out for the night, because he's going to be the season 2 front runner, I think, as far as a villain goes.
Right.
And one of his horsemen of the apocalypse is Remy. So I think that's how they bring Gambit back.
Okay. I know the foreshadowing is there.
It's there. And
hold on. This is where I contradict, and I'm going to say this. The foreshadowing is there for Remy to be Death.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Yep.
But remember, in the comics, Wolverine was Death before Remy was.
Correct. And also, how did Wolverine get his adamantium skeleton back?
By
Apocalypse pulled it out of himself and put it into him.
He didn't pull it out of himself. He had the adamantium there, and he was going to choose between Sabretooth and Wolverine, and he made a fight for it, and Wolverine won.
Wolverine, yep.
Yeah.
That's right, because I misread the story then. Because the way they made it sound is that Apocalypse pulled it from himself and gave to him after he defeated Sabretooth. Is the way they made it out to be when I was reading the Easter eggs and like potential stuff for season 2.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see how that one turns out. I think it could be either way.
I'd be happy either way.
I could be either way, and yeah. But as all the Prime Sentinels are going and they turn off, the humans, the human councils and other world, they enact the Magneto protocols, which was cool.
Yes. That's in my Easter eggs that I have on here too.
Oh, okay.
And that was, and it was just, I'm glad you brought it up, because I didn't put a lot of notes to it, because like you mentioned Magneto protocols and your mind starts swirling. The fact that Charles Xavier made the Magneto protocols with President Kelly just in case Magneto did what he did.
Yep.
And Asteroid M, which I love seeing Asteroid M there, which is kind of like Magneto's like palace in the sky, basically.
Yep.
And but I thought it was cool because it had his power levels from his trading card, basically. Then it had his previous names or names he may go by, which were the names of the actors and the voice actors who have played him, which was a cool little Easter egg to toss in there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, that's kind of cool. And then, seeing, Magneto's always been one of those characters where if you don't fuck with him, you're not going to have an issue with him ever.
True.
But the moment you start pissing on what he cares about, God save your soul, because he won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the wrong one to, he's the wrong one to fuck with when it comes to, being a mutant and, well, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. His thing after a while was why he created both Asteroid M and Genosha was, you don't fuck with us, we won't fuck with you.
Yep.
Let us go. And that didn't seem to happen. And everything that was going on, they sent out the missiles, and apparently it didn't work the way that they wanted it to work.
Yeah, no, they were way off on that one.
Blowing it up, it was like, oh, this shit is falling to the earth, and it's so big, it's going to cause a Ellie event.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. So
we got to address an elephant in the room too.
Okay.
The blue area of the moon. I've seen so much bitching and complaining about this online, and people just not really understanding. Maybe I'm using that wrong, but they're like, well, how the hell can these people breathe on the moon? Well, that's the blue area of the moon. That is literally the citadel of the Watcher.
Yeah.
That's a area on the moon that he created with oxygen on it.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as like a bubble over this area. And it's also where they fought the Dark Phoenix, so she wouldn't destroy Earth.
Yep.
So, I mean, it makes no sense when physics don't apply to X-Men in the MCU. Let's just address that. There's no such thing as physics.
I had to press the I believe button,
Exactly.
They had Sunspot. Okay, first Jubilee flies out into space. They weren't even on the moon. They were in space. And she flies out in space, and Sunspot goes and gets her and then flies her back down to the Earth.
Mm-hmm. Without imploding.
I believe.
That's all you can do. And like, people are like, they put too much focus on it. I'm like, dude, it's a cartoon and it's the fucking X-Men, okay?
Yeah.
What did y'all expect?
Yeah, that was one of those things that okay. Yeah. We're gonna suspend, realism. You people want realism. We're talking about superheroes. We're talking about people that are shooting shit out their hands, that's flying. When that shit happens outside my door, and I'm sitting up here going, okay, and they adhere to our rules of nature or any of that stuff, then I'll stop pressing the I believe button. But
exactly.
As my good friend Ben Affleck says, we're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters.
Dude, now all I can see is that interview and him going.
So yeah, this
dude, that's awesome that you brought that up, because that was a great interview. I think he walked off on that interview too.
He might have. I got that from Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
What?
Oh,
no, my wife's about to go to work.
Oh, okay. So one of the things that they're falling, people are saving each other, and Scott was totally about to bite the bullet and get the rest of them out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X, all of them were in the jet. They were ready to go. And Jada Gray was like, no, you can't. He says, this is what you were doing. It's like, well, we can do this and we can do that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, here we go.
And finally they get Magneto to wake up and shit happens. Of course, Jubilee and Sunspot weren't there because they were back on Earth watching everything fall. And I'm like, all right, what the hell is going on here? Because
that
they
was like a
disappeared.
whole like 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it was of that episode where you're just like, this is total chaos and I needed to make sense quickly. And then all of a sudden everything made sense quickly. It's like, oh, okay, how do we kind of unfuck a mess that we made?
Well, of course, it was Xavier trying to get, Magneto to exude dominance and, basically do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can stop this. You can save us. You can stop all of this. And he had to, he reached them. And that was a very Professor X Xavier Magneto thing to do.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love them showing that part of it.
It really cements their everlasting friendship, no matter what side of good guy, bad guy they're on.
Yeah.
They always find a way at some point or another to get back into that middle like area where they call each other brother.
Yeah. Also, they weren't at the Watchers Temple on the moon. That was Apocalypse.
Was it Apocalypse? Okay.
Yeah, because you even see Apocalypse face out there where Rogue and Bastion were fighting.
Okay.
So,
and she knocked him the fuck out though.
Yeah,
dude, that was the most realistic cartoon punch I can think of in recent memory.
They were messing each other up. That was a slugfest, and I was there for it.
Oh, dude, yeah. I rewound and watched that twice. I ain't gonna bullshit. I watched it twice.
It was a great fight, and I loved it. I love seeing, Sunspot come through. I love seeing how all of it, yeah. Everything comes together, and Magneto wakes up, and they are transported.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not exactly sure what exactly happened.
It was like somebody reached in and messed with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way that they could just end up that far separated in that many timelines without there being some type of outside interference.
Well, in the comics, this kind of echoes the thing that happened with the rebirth of the X-Men.
Mm-hmm. Which wasn't a great run, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God, that was a fucking awesome run.
Was it? Okay.
Yes.
I'm thinking of a different run then.
Because remember, they went into the Sage Perilous.
Okay. Yep.
And that's when everyone thought that they were dead, and they actually went into they had the base in the Australian outback. Gateway was there, and that's when we first get Jubilee. Storm kind of dies, Nanny and the Orphan Maker, and so they put her body in the Sage Perilous, and she goes back to the kid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's when you get Remy, because the next time we see her, however her and Remy find each other, they're being, Batman and Robin type deal.
I'm gonna have to go back and read that one. I have the Marvel app. I'm gonna have to go back and read those, because I think it was a 10-issue run or a 12.
Oh, it was longer than that. They were done. Yeah, because that's when Scott.
That's when they were doing those like 20 and 30 issue runs of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember they Scott and them, the original X-Men were the Extinguishers or some shit like that, where they were supposedly hunting mutants, but what they were really doing was helping them out. Yeah. And that's where we get Skids, Boom Boom, and what's his name? Fire Hands, Rusty, and all those guys.
Yeah,
Richter.
okay. Yeah,
But
Rick.
yeah, that
I'm gonna go
that's
back and read that one then, because
yeah,
I remember like pieces of it. Because back in the day, I didn't get to go to the comic book shop that often to like in order to like put together a complete run. So I end up with like an issue here and then like issue like 7. I just never like was never in the cards for me to collect like that. That's why I have the Marvel app so I can go back and read that stuff. And that's one of the
yes.
runs I need to go back and read then.
Yeah, that's the one with the iconic one of Wolverine with the X tilted to the side and he's splayed out because the Marauders got to him. That was sick with it. But
All right, yeah. No, I'm sold. I gotta go back and read that one.
But that's the
whole reason I have the app too, is to go back and read those types of things.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I can think of them trying to do. And of course, them throwing them into the different, some of them went into the past. Cyclops and Jada Gray went to the future. And of course, we don't know where Wolverine is right now.
Yep. I'm telling you, we'll see. We'll see if my fan theory comes true. But let's dive into some more Easter eggs before we close out for the night, man.
All right, let's roll.
So at the end of episode 10, we have Forge looking at his new list of X-Men as he's getting ready to reassemble a team. That's a throwback to X-Men 141, which started at the Days of Future Past movie, which was pretty cool to see. And it also proved the existence of Shadowcat, aka Kitty Pryde.
Yep, I used to have that comic.
Dude,
I own that comic.
That's a key worth about $2,000 right now, I think.
Yeah. Days of Future Past was one of the greatest X-Men story arcs that they ever did. It's up there. It's in the it's in the top 5. It's in my top 5 X-Men story arcs. But that scene, that picture, that scene right there in X-Men 97, that was great. And it did they had deceased, presumed dead, this. I did look back and I can't remember now what it said about Jubilee. And
I can't remember off the top of my head.
But we know Jubilee's still alive. But whether or not she's messing with him, she's with him or any of that stuff. But who else did you see on that shot?
Colossus, which I was cool to see because I know he comes in after that. And I do appreciate that it was Forge that was doing this.
Well, because Forge is, technically he's one of the last X-Men because he joined the team.
Yep. Colossus is the only one that I can really like stands out to me that like caught my attention.
But Colossus didn't really come after that. Colossus was
well, I think he was already part of the team, but he wasn't with the team at the time.
Right. And in Days of Future, right.
But who stood out to you?
There?
Yep.
Huh?
I do. Yep.
And Dazzler was on that as well.
That's what I'm saying. We'll see. We'll see. I'm excited for what they have planned in the future. I'll put it like that. So at the season finale of X-Men 97, we get Apocalypse in modern day Genosha. Yeah. As he's digging through the rubble, he finds Gambit's card. And it ends with him using that there was so much pain and so much death there, which means the Apocalypse that we see when they go back in time survives and becomes the Apocalypse of today.
Correct.
Which was really cool to see, by the way.
I like the way that they
I'm a fan of Apocalypse, by the way. Like he's one of those endearing villains that you love to hate and hate to love. You know what I'm saying?
Given that Apocalypse is everyone thinks that, Professor X created the X-Men to combat Magneto, but it was proven that it was really because of the coming of Apocalypse.
That I remember reading some of those earlier episodes of Apocalypse and just being like in awe of what he did.
He was the man.
Dude, without a doubt.
He was the man. Apocalypse is Unsabernor, the Apocalypse.
So I know we've already talked about this next one I had written. It ties back into Apocalypse and how Gambit attempted to infiltrate Apocalypse's organization by volunteering to become one of the Horsemen. And he was actually brainwashed to actually serve in Apocalypse. And it looks like season 2 of X-Men 97 is going to lean into that, is what they're saying. But it would be the resurrected Gambit, because we're getting Gambit back without a doubt.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say we're going to get Gambit back, but I think it'll be more the case of when Wolverine became Death. They weren't, it was like he had lost who he was. He was brainwashed. He didn't know who he was or any of that stuff. It wasn't that he went there to infiltrate or any of that stuff. And I think we'll get that with Gambit. He's called back to life by Apocalypse, and Apocalypse has basically said, okay, you're going to lead my horsemen, and this has happened. It's kind of fuzzy on who he was, but yeah. Oh, that reminds me, bro, we skipped over a huge cameo at Gambit's funeral. His wife, Belladonna.
That's right, yeah.
And his people.
Yep.
His ex-wife. Because he was part of the Thieves Guild, they were part of the Assassin Guild and all that stuff. And they were there. That was huge. I love that.
I want to go back and watch the episode again, like his funeral, because I know there was some more in there that I probably overlooked.
Yeah.
But Belladonna is one of those ones, like, it's just not a name you hear modern day. We could go back to Golden era, then she pops up quite a bit.
Yeah. So that was it. Also seeing a young Nathan Dayspring in the future was kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to season 2. I want it here. I want it now. I want it.
I know they have said that we're getting it sooner than we think we're going to get it. And I think we're going to get it probably in the October timeframe when they would normally do new episodes of stuff anyway. That's when we would normally get new seasons of stuff. So I'm excited. I know the voicing is done. I know they're polishing the animation and doing that kind of stuff. I know this Bo DeMeo storyline.
Right.
Unless they go back and decide to change stuff. I'm hoping that's not the case. We know that season 3 has already been greenlit and we're getting new writers for it. So it's going to be interesting to see who Kevin Feige brings in to be the writer, because I know like he was hesitant to reboot this and he had like, hey, we have to have these people and we have to have this song or else this shit ain't happening. Right. And Disney said, okay, cool. And they went out and got them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see with him being a hardcore X-Men guy, Marvel, like who he will bring in for that. And I'm hoping they reach out to comic book writers for it and go, hey guys, what do y'all think? Or who would y'all recommend come in for this? Because to me, that works better.
I want them to bring back the guy who did this season. I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. I wish they would bring Bo DeMeo back, but
I don't know
Bo DeMeo must have did something horrible for them to just go, dude, you're out of here before season 1, episode 1 ever comes out. Like, what was so bad that they got rid of Bo?
Yeah.
and it's tight-lipped. Like they're not even talking about this shit.
Yeah.
It was just a Twitter like, oh, by the way, we fucking fired Bo.
Yeah.
And we're like, wait, what? Like, see, it comes out tomorrow, and you fired him?
Yeah. I got the poster up. It shows Colossus, Dust. That's a
Okay.
huge one. Magic. It
Yep.
wasn't Dazzler. It was the White Queen,
Okay.
Shadowcat, Exodus,
Ooh.
Havoc, and Iceman.
I like Havoc. Like he's yeah.
And then they have Scarlet Witch, but it says off world. It says
Well,
off world.
what's going on at the same time as all this?
I don't know, but that's crazy. That's crazy.
So Secret Wars is still taking place behind all the scenes of this, or it
The-
should be. I thought because that was
maybe.
going on at the same time as the Infinity War was. The Secret Wars was happening behind it. Because that's why we always did within the comic book, we didn't see certain people for a while, but then they would pop up in the Secret Wars comic books, but not in the Infinity like Gauntlet like comic books.
Are you talking about the newest Infinity Gauntlet stuff or the stuff from the past?
The newest stuff. I need to go back and read the older stuff.
I haven't kept up on like the new Secret Wars that they have. I got to read those. I actually do. I kind of hate it because of this whole God Emperor Doom bullshit. But
Yeah.
But I can see where that happens, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because in the original Secret Wars, he did his thing. So I'm not sure whether or not any of that, how that timeline works in the comic books. But
I don't think they really do because it's so like there were certain people that disappeared and just never reappeared again. And it's just because they fucking forgot they were there. Like it was a hot mess for a hot while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll tell you what, I'll read those and
I'm gonna sit down and reread them as well.
We can rehash it. But it shows Angel on here, Archangel on here as well.
Which version of Archangel?
It's the blue. It's blue, blonde hair, so he's actual Archangel.
Okay.
And you know they do say missing, presumed dead on some of them. Cable,
because I know the
dead,
the final form of Bastion is a ripoff of the Archangel final form.
It's a throwback to what it looked like, but I'm not sure if it was actually meant to be a ripoff or any of that stuff.
I don't think ripoff was the wrong word. It was a callback and like a homage. I want to say rather.
Yeah. Here's something too, though. They introduced the techno-organic virus in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who else might we get with the techno-organic virus? A true being of it. I'm just
from Cable storyline, right?
Nope.
Oh no.
Warlock.
Oh shit. Yeah.
All of Warlock's people are techno-organic beings.
Yeah. No, you're right. Dang, dude, if we get that in season 2 as well, season 2 and 3 has so much potential to be
so much potential. But I think that even though they saved the world, I think what Forge in them that they've really got to be quiet about what they're doing. And of course, you know, Bishop came back.
Yep.
And he's like, hey, I know what you're doing and this, and they're going on, but they're going to have to, you know, get in contact. We don't know what Jubilee's doing, what Sunspot's doing, or any of that stuff. So
it's going to be interesting, though, when they open season 2, what has Bishop shared with Forge from the future?
Right.
Or did Bishop make it to the future? Maybe he accidentally went backwards when they went through the time jump.
Who knows?
So it's gonna be interesting. Like
Yeah.
I'm like
Yeah,
so
I'm here for it.
I'm stoked that we're
I'm here
getting
for
at
it.
least 2 new seasons of this, and I'm here. I'm like, I look forward to, whatever 3, 4, 5 months from now, sitting back down with everybody and like, dude, season 2, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Whenever it is, I mean, we'll be back to talk about it.
Hell yeah.
But with that, man, final shots and thoughts, bro. What you got? And I
All
see you
right.
broke out the Comic Wars t-shirt. I like it.
I would like to say that I did this just for this episode, but I've been
No, I
wearing
like
this all
it.
day. I wear this. I wear my Comic Wars all the time.
That's one of those where I'm sitting here looking at it like, man, I got to get me one of them.
Final shots, party shots. All of the season was truly amazing. This shows that shit at Marvel with the MCU side of it. We're not talking about the Sony crap, but
Yeah, we do not speak of that.
But Sony, not Sony, the Marvel, Disney Marvel, they basically came out and said we can do this shit and we can do this shit right. This is exactly a show. And am I saying that it was perfect? No.
No.
By all means, it was not perfect. There's some gaps. There's some stuff that we like different. But this it hit us in the feels. It elated us. And
it never stopped hitting us in the feels either.
No.
It from episode 1 to episode 10, it 100% gave us everything that we wanted and more. If you wanted fan service, you got fan service. If you thought you weren't going to see a cameo, boom, there's the cameo for you.
And don't get too attached to anybody because they can get murked too.
Exactly.
And
we've seen it hundreds of times throughout the comic books of people coming and going, and all of a sudden there's a funeral scene. Like, well, how in the fuck did they die?
And that's exactly what happened. And I'm here for it.
We could get that at the opening of season 2.
We can. Oh, season 2 is going to be full on.
Oh,
now,
dude.
What I don't think a lot of people recognize was this series happened over a span of years. This season happened over a span. Season 1 happened over a span of a couple of years. It wasn't just boom, 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 and everything happened. But time progressed, time went on. But I am so ready for season 2.
Dude, without a doubt.
Hell yeah.
Without a doubt. So let's do this, Rob. It's 10:23.
All right.
What does Rob got coming up next? Where's Rob heading to? I know you're heading out of town again. That's why we're live on a Thursday night before a 4-day weekend, which is cool. I love opening up a 4-day weekend with the show. This is everything.
I'm actually chilling this weekend.
Okay.
Just got back last week on up until this week. We were in Memphis in May.
What was you doing in Memphis?
We were judging
barbecue.
We actually got to judge Memphis in May this year, which was pretty awesome.
Those pictures look like y'all were having a blast, man. I'm telling you.
I actually got to do on-site judging, so we went to each. I did 3 teams for each one, both ribs and whole hog. I got whole hog, and we got to see them do an on-site presentation. They tell us about their smoker, their hog, what kind of seasoning rubs they use, this whole deal. They sell us on everything. It's a whole story and a pageant. Dude,
I love it.
It is awesome.
And I'm telling you right now, for anybody listening to this later, if you've never been to Memphis and ate barbecue and soul food, you're missing out on life. And you need to make at least one trip out to Memphis, Tennessee, not Arkansas.
There we go.
And eat barbecue and eat soul food. go to the pyramid and enjoy it.
Yes, yes. And also the National Civil Rights Museum is there.
It is right down the road from the pyramid.
There's so many cool things that is there, but we were there.
By the way, the pyramid is now a Bass Pro shop for anybody wondering out there.
It is. We
went in there. Big ass Bass Pro.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. We're kind of in a for my competition stuff. We're kind of in a hold. You know, it gets too hot during the summers.
Yep.
So we're on the off season, and all I'm doing now is just practicing, getting ready for the second half, which will begin in Sylvester, Georgia, late August.
Okay.
We'll go. Right now, I'm tied for. They got me in 11th, but I'm tied for 10th. It's like 10th, 11th, and I think 12th. But tied for 10th in the state of Georgia, 11th in the state of Georgia. My first year competition, so I'm hoping to break into the top 10 and finish strong this year. And
so when are we going to see some Rob barbecue and Rob seasonings hit the shelves at our local supermarkets, man? Dude, so many people right now like have sauces and have seasonings on the shelf, and you can buy them. And it's really cool to see people that we knew from our past doing big things like that. So when's Rob going to get that?
Well,
that's my question.
I will tell you this.
Because I know you just took first in sauce.
We did.
The last competition.
The last competition we did a sauce, and one of our sauces took first place in sauce. And so I have an award-winning sauce. We have award-winning rubs, that seasoning and rubs that we put on there. We have a couple different sauces. So just stay tuned.
No, I'm here for it, dude. I'm telling you. There's one thing I live for, and that's good barbecue.
Hey, well, you know, I haven't been told yet that I've got bad barbecue, so
there we go.
There we go.
So if anybody out there is listening, those people who make sauces and rubs, hit up Rob and get it on the shelf. What are y'all waiting on? But with that, Rob, man, hey, appreciate you coming on. I know we're all busy doing things. You're a backbone and a key player here, brother. And I can't thank you enough. With that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I know there was a handful of you. I appreciate it. To everybody who's going to be listening later, you have no idea how much we appreciate y'all tuning in and listening. Stay tuned. We may be going. It depends. Like, we've done 3 shows this fucking month, which is crazy to think about, but there's a lot of good shit happening in the month of May. And here we are toward the end of May, and this is show number 3. We've done Star Wars. We've done, what else did we do? Can't remember. We've done a lot of stuff this month.
Oh, yeah.
We may, depending on what June brings, I don't know if we'll be doing another show like this, or if we'll just be on here talking just basic nerd news next month for a couple of times. We're still looking for interviews, so stay tuned for some of those. A big thanks to Mac and Kelvin and the whole crew at DFPN. As always, we want your feedback, so tell us if you enjoyed it. And don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Stay tuned for more. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this podcast is USDN approved.